I've got these runners counted down, so we are going to be underway very shortly. This best of 7 showdown between the 2-time champion Brisulph and Tele01. Will Brisulph make it to his 4th consecutive championship, or will Tele01 make his first appearance in the grand finals? Time will tell in these next 4 to 7 games. Here we go.
Now we need to see if any of them is going to try for the orb in them. No, none of them are trying for it.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we were watching Brisulph this afternoon, and I did not see him work on the manipulation. So both these runners are going to put RNG into their hands and hope for some good drops in collect power-ups. And it is going to be a whole shot for Brisulph in game number 1.
Right, and it's not going to be much. It's only going to be by about a second. But with Brisulph and Teleo, they're both from the old school. Their PBs are insanely low, so they're thinking they save time with not doing the orb manip and hoping to get that first drop of any worth. They'll get something. Now Brisulph had a second drop spreader. Teleo's looking for anything good, and there's some rockets that will definitely help his cause.
Yeah, absolutely, Sigma. These rockets and rockets for Brisulph, so I would imagine that Brisulph is going to keep this lead coming out of this room. We got a Razor Shield for Teleo, can keep control of the middle, just has to finish off the last shrapnel. It's a 121 Teleo with a 123. We get a 2-second lead for Brisulph going into Eat My Shrapnel, but neither player has an orb, Sigma.
No, and this is kind of like the other tail of the coin, not doing the manip. You're running into hunting for an orb, and there's one on Brisulph. As we said, they're hunting for the orb. Brisulph gets it. He was having good control of the room because he picked up the Razor Shield early, and now he's just controlling the center, hoping to keep the orb healthy. And now that all the swarmers are gone, he can now focus on the shrapnels.
Yeah, definitely. And Teleo's definitely been struggling here. It's a 203, finally gets an orb, but that time is a bleeding. Just the room got out of control and the swarmers didn't finish until much later. That's a 4.5-second loss there. But luckily for Teleo, does have an orb, so can at least keep it going here. And especially with these rockets to start, Sigma, in total carnage.
Yep, it's the much better weapon than the spreader, and Teleo is now going to pick up his spreader. He's probably picked up a couple of seconds because he had those rockets, and Brisulph really hasn't had much of anything, maybe one spreader. And we see both of them just controlling the center, making sure the swarmers are at bay, avoiding the shrapnel fire that comes through the center, because, let's be honest, the first one to drop their orb is going to be in big trouble.
I don't think it's going to be an issue for Brisulph as he picks up a Razor Shield, should carry him through the rest of this room. Teleo's had to do a lot of dancing here, and yeah, look at this. Brisulph is going to keep that lead with the 257. Teleo is going to be bleeding a little bit more time, it looks like. I just think because Brisulph, his movement was more fluent, was able to keep better control of the middle of the room, and that's why it's now a 9-second lead for Brisulph.
Actually, it was a 9-second lead at the beginning.
6.5.
It was 6.5, so a little time loss. It's all going to come down to tank trouble when the rubber does hit the road, and the swarmers do come out. There's more purple shirts, which come out faster. It's all going to depend on that first drop. Invulnerability for Brisulph, which is fine. So, and he drops the orb!
An unusual mistake there for Brisulph. This could give Teleo a chance. Invulnerability on the feet for Teleo, so nothing to write home about. He can at least ignore the bullets. But right now, early indications, we're getting the TTTT, the typical tank trouble trash. And look at all the shrapnel exploding on Teleo's side, dodging it all. So far, so good. He's really had to earn it, though. Trying to get that second gunner down. Can't quite do it. He is still a little bit overwhelmed here. Brisulph does get a replacement orb, so he should at least mitigate that time loss that he's got going against him. Second gunner finally down on Teleo's side. He's got some rockets, but it's a long way to go. Can he get it? He hits the he hits the mine.
He leafed it. He absolutely leafed it. He's going to get his orb back, and he loses it again.
Wow. A big mistake there from Teleo. It's a 418 for Brisulph. He'll keep his lead, and Tele01 is going to be kicking himself. He had it, and then just stepped right into the mine there. The Prince leaf, the leaf did, the leaf edit. This run was his, but now it's mine, and because of it, it's about a 17-second lead for Brisulph, but missed the ball buster, Sigma.
That's kind of unusual, but Mutwin was moving kind of janky there, so I'm not going to fault him too much for it. It's not going to depend on the first drop for Teleo. Teleo's got rockets. Brisulph is going to ride these lobbers, more lobbers, and it's about a 4.5 now 2-form advantage that Brisulph has right now. Teleo does need a spreader, just to get maybe just a pull even.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that lead is increasing. It's more than a 2-form lead now for Brisulph, but an empty drop with that key could give Teleo a chance to gain some ground. But where is that weapon? It's a spreader.
And that's a good position. He's going to have a little bit of movement. He's not going to get it blocked, and Mutoid provides and comes right up for him. And now it's almost even. He's going to drop the spreader, and we are almost even. It's lobbers versus lobbers. Who's going to be more accurate with their shots? Teleo is lining them up. Brisulph does have a little bit more damage. We are so close. Teleo has like a half-second lead. Who's going to do the more consistent damage? Teleo is really firing in these shots. Now, can the lobbers hold on? He's going to have to go for the spreader. He's going to have to change weapons. Brisulph does have lobbers and more lobbers coming up. But Teleo nails it by a second.
Yes, I think Tele01 has pulled off game number 1. It is going to be very close, but by the naked eye, Sigma, Tele01 has it. Let's look at the times here. 6:10, 6:10, it's too close to call.
We got to go to the tape.
Oh, no.
For the first time all tournament, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to the booth.
That is insanity. Teleo was 2 forms back, 17 seconds, all throughout. Coming into Mutoid, Brisulph didn't have a spreader. No spreader drop from him until the end, when it didn't matter. Teleo got the spreader that he needed, had the shots laid in, going for that middle where it does the most damage with the lobbers. And by the timers that had been shown up on screen, Teleo finished 0.2 of a second ahead. By the rule, which is 1 second or less than a second, we're going to the tape. It's going to be reviewed. And whoever will have gotten it, we will find out. I believe Cards, who's doing it? Is it Burgundy?
I got it.
Cards is going to look at the tape.
No, I'm not looking at the tape, but Dino's looking at the tape.
Mr. Dino's going to look at it. Our own Mr. Dino 023.
No, I'm simply the gatekeeper here. I am the one that is telling the people if they're ready to go for game number 1, game number 2, etc., etc., etc. But right now, it is under review by Mr. Dino. I am asking the runners if they want to proceed with game number 2, if they just want to wait until the review is completed. But both runners are ready. I'm going to go ahead and count them down. After this game, we will reveal what the result was of game number 1. So I'm going to get them ready.
All right. Dino's earning his pay today. With the runners that we have tonight, that we have lined up for you, he's earning his pay. We might have more booth reviews coming up.
Oh, definitely. If it keeps up like this, I mean, I had already declared that last match that I called the J-Pop for Life CHX42 the match of the tournament. If this keeps up, you never know. You might have somebody reclaim that throne. So let's go on. Game number 2 between Brisulph and Tele01. Again, we will have the result of game number 1 upon the conclusion of game number 2. So here we go. All right, so both of these runners have their Razor Shield manipulations. We'll see who comes out up front. It is going to be Brisulph again with his second consecutive hole shot, again by about a second or so. Brisulph with a low 40, a low 41 for Tele01. It is time for collect power-ups. We didn't see an orb in game number 1. We'll see if we see one in game number 2, or maybe 2 of them.
Yep, and let's see, good first drops. Rockets for Brisulph is good. Razor Shield for Teleo, it's okay. Because of this game, he can go to the doors if he picks up a foot. But he's going to take the nuke. He's going to hope for an orb. He's going to get spreader, so that's going to help Brisulph just min-maxing those rockets like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, Brisulph, of course, definitely one of the best in the business. So despite the fact no orb, he's still going to have a 78 going into Eat My Shrapnel. No slouch for Teleo, considering what he got. He has a 123, but he's about 5 seconds back going into Eat My Shrapnel. And again, no orb for either player to start this room.
Both of them are going to be starting off with Razor Shields, though. Teleo does need to improve on this room, though. He had problems with it, was not able to keep it clean, so to speak. Oh, and you saw Teleo just hemming and hawing about going for the nuke, so that cost him time. He had 4 shrapnels there as well, so that cost him even more time.
Yeah, and this room gave him problems in game number 1.
Brisulph's got his orb.
Yeah, and he's got a half a clip of rockets with the 201 out the door going into total carnage. And once again, Tele01 overwhelmed by the room and bled more time. He's now 8 seconds back, and he is orbless. This could really go off the rails for him if he doesn't see an orb soon.
By the way, rockets on the V at the start of the room for Brisulph, so he was able to really extend that lead.
Now grenades on the feet. At this point, Talios finally gets an orb, just what the doctor ordered. Some damage has been done already, but it's at least going to keep him in it.
And Brisulph is going to continue his good luck. He's got the Razor Shield. He is going to control the center. Teleo has spreaders. He's going to let that shrapnel explode. He's going to pick up rockets. But I'm not liking wasting a lot of those rockets to do what he had. He had a clear path.
Yeah, he most definitely did, so he wasn't able to get the most out of those rockets, but it's a 2:53 for Brisulph, very good time, and grenades on the feet for Teleo. Even more bad luck on Teleo's side here, and that is a double-digit lead and then some. A very late Razor Shield will help finish off this room, but yeah, you can see that the damage is already done, as it's going to 10. It's about a 17-second lead, maybe 17.5-second lead for Brisulph. Teleo has been in this deficit before, but that was going into Mutoy Man. Let's see what happens in tank trouble.
First drop foot, so Brisulph is gonna take out a gunner first, which I do like that play. Take out one of them at least. That should be a goal, is to take out one gunner, because the swarmers aren't gonna show up enough to hamper taking out one. You can take out one, especially when you have an invul. Ooh, nice little dancing by Teleo, just trying to get to the spreader. Now has the center. He sees a nuke. Is he going to go for it? He is. Clean up the room, take a little breath. Brisulph's got a spreader, controlling the center. There's some rockets for Brisulph. He can extend it, and there he is.
Yeah, he's going to end the room with these rockets here. This is going to be a great time out of here. 4:06, 4:07 into Mutoy, man. That lead is continuing to widen for Brisulph here. Teleo doing a reasonably good job with this room, much better than in game number 1, but that time is going to continue to bleed for Tele01. He's going to need another cooperative Mutoy man to make this one work again. He is trailing by about 21.5 seconds.
And Bullbuster did work for Brisulph that time. The arm popped. Now he's just hunting for a weapon, but it's being mother-henned by Mutoid, and it was a key, so
Ooh.
That's fine. He didn't know if anything was going to pop up, and we got an empty drop by Teleo, but he did get the Bullbuster.
He's going to do his namesake here. He's looking for a spreader. What is it? It's parked on. It's grenades.
It's grenades, but Brisulph had a spreader with some invulnerability, so that is a glitch toy.
Yeah, glitch toy man on Brisulph's side, and he's got a firm lead on this one right now. It is 2 forms and change. Teleo trying to cut into that lead. Both gunners are now off, so Teleo can just focus on getting the damage in as he pops his second arm, but it's still a 2-form lead for Brisulph here. Teleo's going to need a spreader, and that is not a spreader. Instead, Brisulph is going to get the spreader. He's looking poised to take game number 2.
And Mutoid just went right where he needed him to go, so he's going to empty up the spreader clip, and that will do it. That's going to be like a 5:46 or 5:47 for Brisulph. That is just an amazing time.
Yeah, that was a great Mutoid man fight there from Brisulph. Got the weapons, got full transfer damage, and it is going to be a 5:47 for Brisulph as he will take game number 2. Teleo just going to finish this one up, and now I do have a word regarding the situation here. At least I don't know if I do, but Teleo's time was 6:09:55.
Okay.
And right now it's now we are not able to get a Brisulph time because the VOD is not public for Mr. Dino to look at. So Brisulph, he's gonna drop his stream for a moment so Mr. Dino can review that one. But I can tell you that the time was 6:09:55 on Telio's side. So we'll get a ruling on Brisulph's time once Mr. Dino is able to procure the VOD and look at Brisulph's performance. So again, it is right now definitely 1-0 in favor of Brisulph. We don't know if it's 2-0 or 1-1. So we're going to take a short break while he looks at that VOD, and we'll get a ruling on that in just a second. So hang on, folks. We'll be back shortly. All right, folks, welcome back. It is now game number 3 between Brisulph and Tele01. I'm LOZ Cards Fan 23. We've got Sigma Fan and Ferran Burgundy here in the booth. Thank you very much for your patience, everybody. Mr. Dino is going to continue to review this. They will review it during game number 3. The runners have agreed that they will run their race, and then I will give our ruling in game number 3. For sure, we'll have it this time for you, and then we'll see what kind of match situation we've got at that point. Both runners are ready. I'm going to count them down.
It has been that first match. I think that's the closest that we've ever had it.
It is not the closest that we've ever had it. We've had a 1-frame game in the last tournament. That's the closest one that we have ever had in tournament history. So this one is going to be probably, top 3, top 2 even, but closest, it has to be 1 frame. We had a 1-frame game in last year's tournament.
Brisulph is starting. Telio is not started yet, but
could be it's probably lag due to the stop and start of the VODs. Yeah, Talios is ready to go, so we'll just get them lined up, and then everything should be good to go here for game number 3. So please stand by, ladies and gentlemen.
Telio hugging that wall and already losing a part of his razor shield.
Yeah, you're going to see different strategies here in Arena 1. Some will try to do that manipulation. Some will try to go through one of the doors. Some will just try to stay in the middle. And taking a look here, it is very close. It's, I'd say, pretty much for all intents and purposes, even. Burgundy, what would you say that lead is right now for Brisulph?
I mean, if I had to use a word, perhaps negligible?
Yeah, that's a negligible lead if I've ever seen one, Burgundy. We have a first drop orb for Tele01, the first orb here in collect power-up so far in this match. So that should give Tele01 an advantage. A razor shield on the feet for Brisulph. That will enable him to keep control of the middle. But right now he's going to be hunting that orb because he had grenades on the feet. That's definitely going to waste him a little bit of time here. And rockets to close the room. Tele01's going to have a great time. 77 into Eat My Shrapnel. Brisulph did a pretty good job with what the game gave him, but he's 5 seconds back at the moment.
And now Brisulph is going to be hunting for that orb, and he's not getting it.
Yeah, now that Telio's got the orb, I would imagine this time it's going to be a much more smoother sailing in Eat My Shrapnel than it's been in the first 2 games for Tele01, where he's bled some time here. In this room, there are 18 Mr. Shrapnels that we have to take out. A maximum of 4 can be on the screen at any given point, and that's when you start to bleed time, as we have seen a couple of times on Telio's side. Your optimal time, 42.5 seconds. With these rockets, Brisulph should have no trouble getting that 42.5 second time, but he is still orbless. It's a 2-minute flat for Telio. Brisulph is done, and it's a 2:05. Still the 5-second lead for Telio.
Now, with Telio with the spreaders early on, he was able to clear out all of the swarmers that he had.
Yeah, Brisulph definitely had the weapon quality to make the end of the room work for him, so he didn't even lose any time to Telio there. But he gets an orb early on, so this is where we may see Brisulph cut into that lead or maybe even take the lead, but these grenades are not going to help.
Not going to help at all. Telio's still controlling the center well. He's got to leave a little bit because things were getting a little hectic. But Brisulph is still controlling his center, and that's the key to this room. Control that center.
Yeah, because when you control the center, that's when you can maximize your kill count. And Telio's not really done that. He's been moving all over the place here, and that's how you lose some of your kill count. And that's why Brisulph might be able to cut into that lead, and it is still going to be a Tele01 lead, but look at this. 2:58. 3 minutes, it's about 1.5 seconds. Brisulph gained 3.5 seconds in that room just because he did a better job keeping control of the middle, which kept his kill count high.
Hey, what's this in front of me, Cards?
You know what it's time for? Oh, Taco Bell, product placement with Taco Bell.
Get yourself a 5-layer, get yourself a crunch wrap. You're going to have a good time with Smash TV, right?
Absolutely, and of course, top it off with some Baja Blast. Here we go, a nuke on the feet for Telio. We'll be able to take out one gunner, get some damage to the second one, but it is still there, and gets the second gunner down. Brisulph has a foot, so nothing really to write home about for either runner at this point so far in tank trouble. But Brisulph doing the better job, but rockets here for Telio.
That's going to really help him out, and the invulnerability is going to help out too with the tank fire, which when he comes out, he can fire, and it can be a bad time.
Well, certainly indeed. Yeah, when you have the invulnerability, you can ignore the tank bullets, but you could still lose your orb to the swarmers there. Telio is going to extend that lead a little bit on Brisulph. The rockets definitely helped him out. He's got a 4:08, and Brisulph, oh, this explosion is going to cost him a couple of more seconds here. It's a 4:16 and 8-second lead. That is roughly 1 empty drop. They both have a ballbuster chance.
Yeah, but Brisulph has spreaders, so he's going to forego it, and he's going to do some damage to... No, he's not going to do it. He's going to take the death because the spreader popped right in front of the door.
Absolutely. He'll take that every day of the week and twice on Sunday, so he's going to get the maximum damage with that spreader there. Telio did get the ball buster, but both arms have popped off, and Brisulph, just like that, on one spreader, has taken the lead in game number 3.
Yep, just perfect positioning for Bry. He was going to do that spreader manip early, but it just didn't happen.
Empty drop a spreader, and Talio. That's a mistake. I think he wanted to grab it, but that's just too far to grab. That's right. He needed to have taken it instantly in order for that to work, and he kind of hesitated a little bit. I think he wanted to grab the spreader, but he just ran right into Mutoid, and Brisulph already on the penultimate form. Oh, a spreader on the feet. But there's another spreader, but it's too late. Too late. It's final form for Brisulph, but no matter. He should still be in prime shape to take game number 3 as the head pops off for Talio. Rockets may finish it for Brisulph. He's going to grab the invulnerability to protect himself. That one gunner is going to be still attached as he takes down Mutoid Man, and that is a second win for Brisulph here in game number 3 as its final form for Tele01.
Yeah, Telio played well, but missing out on that spreader did cost him, but I don't think, even if he had gotten that spreader, I don't think it would have been enough, because he would only got like about 2 clips out, and that wasn't going to be enough before the invulnerability.
So it'll be about a 6-10, 6-11 for Tele01, and I do have the result of game number 1. So, as I had mentioned, Tele01's time was 609.55. Brisulph's time was 609.75. So by a difference of 12 frames, 0.2 of a second, Tele01 did in fact win game number 1. That might be the second closest game in Smash TV tournament history. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it is definitely up there for close games. So game number 1 did go to Tele01. However, Brisulph has reeled off the last 2 games to take a 2-1 lead in this best of 7 match.
Right, and that was when the timers stopped for both Brisulph and Telio in that first run. That was the difference, about 0.2, like 12, 13 hundredths of a second. So that does track.
Yep, absolutely. So Telio did take game number 1. Brisulph has taken the last 2 games, so he is now up 2-1. So yeah, Mutoid Man definitely in his favor there, because Tele01 had that 8-second lead, but Brisulph just got so many spreaders in that Mutoid Man fight, and that enabled him to run away with game number 3. I mean, Tele01 played great. His arena gameplay was very solid in that game number 3. Just wasn't enough. Mutoid Man wouldn't cooperate with him. Got the one spreader in not the greatest location, tried for it, ran right into him, and wasn't able to grab it in time to make the spreader damage work for him, and that enabled Brisulph to seal game number 3. Let's see if Telio can bounce back in game number 4. I'm going to get them ready to go.
And this is just the start of some great action we have for you today, because after this match, we start the ladder.
Yep, that's absolutely right. The old stepladder format that you're accustomed to seeing on PBA Tour events, you're going to see it right here before your eyes in the Super Smash TV tournament. Because after this, we are going to start that little stepladder format, because it is going to be Tetsuo taking on Aquas, and the winner of that will face off against J-Pop for Life in the next step of that stepladder format.
Then the winner will face off against the loser of Brisulph and Telio, and then the winner of that match will have to win 2 matches against the champion.
That is correct, Sigma. And in fact, that's exactly how it rolled last season when CHX42 got the bracket reset and ended up winning 2 consecutive matches against Brisulph to take home last year's championship. But of course, this year, we are going to have a new champion. It could be Brisulph winning his 3rd, or it could be one of our final 4 contestants, Telio, Tetsuo, Aquas, or J-Pop for Life, claiming their first. Nice nuke there.
Aquas has gotten close a couple of times. I think he's finished 3rd in a couple of tournaments.
Correct. He has finished 3rd in the last 2 tournaments. In fact, I believe the 1, 2, 3 of our last 2 tournaments have been the same. We've had Brisulph, CHX, and Aquas be your top 3. That is, of course, going to be different this year with the elimination of CHX last week. So here we go with collect power-ups. We've got rockets for Telio, and there's an orb to go with that razor shield for Brisulph. Let's see if he gets the rockets to complete the Trinity. No, but he'll get some spreaders.
And Telio had rockets really long into this room. Now he's got some grenades. Now he's got more rockets that should clear out the room.
Should
Oh,
indeed.
but he gets slammed.
Oh,
Orb on the other
mistake there.
side. Can he get it? He's gonna get the orb, but he's gonna be bleeding time right now.
Yeah, he's going to be hemorrhaging time because Brisulph had a 76. Telio's almost 12 seconds back with a very high 77, or 87, I beg your pardon. So 76 playing an 87 here. Telio will get a Razor Shield. That'll help him keep control of the middle of the room, get rid of the swarmers. Brisulph with some grenades. That's
Nuke
not what he's
on the
looking for.
feet by Telio. Sorry to interrupt. Nuke.
No problem.
So now it's going to be a 10. Now he's at a 10-second disadvantage.
And it's probably going to be closer to like 12, 13 seconds. Look at this time. It'll be a low 159 for Brisulph. When you have sub 2 going into Total Carnage, that's a very, very good time. Talio, I would imagine it'll be about a 2:11, because when you take a nuke, it's about a 3/4 of a second penalty, and that's exactly what it is. It's a 2:11. Lead is now about 12 and a half seconds for Telio. So that kind of checks out to me that he'd lose about 3/4 of a second, because I said it was almost 12. Now it's more than a 12-second lead. So rockets to start for Tele01. That's going to help a little bit. He'd like to get that Razor Shield to help him keep control of the middle, because he's been a little bit of erratic here in the Total Carnage. Brisulph's, his movement has been very fluent so far in this match in Total Carnage, even when he's not getting the weapon Sigma.
Right, but I think Telio is doing another strategy. It is very dangerous, but I know the strategy that he's going for. He is hunting weapons. Like he was hunting for that Razor Shield. He is hunting for rockets and anything to maybe stop the bleeding. As it stands right now, and with the way his room is going, it might have quelled the bleeding a little bit, but he is not going to be gaining that much time on Brisulph. 309, so he did gain back
He didn't
2 seconds.
Oh no, he lost time. He lost about 3.5 seconds. It was about a 12.5-second deficit. It's now a 16-second deficit. Brisulph had a 2:53.
And now rockets to start for Brisulph. He's going to take out both of the gunners.
Oh
and
my
he's got
goodness.
more rockets.
My word, the rich getting richer here. RNG favoring the favorites, underwhelming the underdogs. It's hard to call Tele01 an underdog here, but when you're going up against the 2-time champion, he's definitely an underdog in this game. And right now, the game is giving Brisulph all of the goods here in tank trouble. This has potential, maybe, if he gets one more good weapon, now with the dude here. I was going to say this might have potential of a sub-4 Mutoid Man entry. Still might if he can get these guys down quick. It's gonna be a sub-4 for Brisulph, 3:59. We'll see what kind of time he could pull off here, but if he were to get a 70-second Mutoid Man fight, he would PB. So let's see what happens here. Telio has a spreader here, still has the orb intact. Again, solid performance that Talio's putting up here in game number 4, but just Brisulph getting the goods here and gets the ball buster to land. It's a 4:20, 21-second deficit. Definitely doable, but he's gonna need a lot of help, Sigma.
He needs 2 spreaders. There's no way about it. He needs 2 spreaders.
And there is going to be a empty drop, unfortunately, for Telio, so he'll focus on the ball buster and misses it.
He was a little too high. I did not like that angle.
Right now, the second arm pops off for Brisulph, so won't be a PB for Brisulph, but right now at the moment, his focus is to try and keep the damage coming against Mutoid Man. Telio needs a spreader. He needs it pretty quick. He gets one. The problem is he's got an invulnerability, so he's going to have to go manuals or hope for another invulnerability to show up. Instead, it's grenades. It's got to be manuals here. First arm pops off, and now he takes the Telio. He wants another spreader. Will he get it? What? No, it's an invulnerability. And right now, Brisulph, he's in the catbird seat to take game number 4 and a commanding 3-1 lead here in this winners finals. Again, whoever wins this match punches their ticket into the grand championship. Final form now for Brisulph as he's got grenades. One more weapon is what he's going to need. Spreader is the worst weapon that you can have in the final form, so he still might need another weapon after this.
I don't think it matters.
No, it definitely doesn't matter, as Telio's just too far behind at this point. Brisulph will pick up the grenades, try to finish it up right there. Spreader will do the job for Brisulph, and down he goes. It'll be about a 6:01 for Brisulph, and Brisulph, the 2-time champion, is now on triple match point.
Just had a clean arena, and that's all there is to it. He had a really clean arena.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he played cleanly. He got great weapons to help him out. I mean, start to finish, his arena was on the money. Didn't have the best of Mutoid Man fights. When you come in with a sub 4 and you don't even get a sub 6, you know you just didn't really have the goods to make a sub 6 happen. So didn't get the best of Mutoid Man luck there, but it was more than enough because Tele01 had even worse luck. So, Tele01 gonna have to figure out a way to reel off 3 consecutive against the 2-time champion. Because if he doesn't, Brisulph will be back into the Grand Championship for a 4th consecutive year.
And Brisulph showing off the power of the feline.
Kitty goes meow.
If only that happened last year.
Right? Maybe that's what Brisulph was missing. Maybe he needed more airtime with his kitties, and maybe he would have got the job done. We'll never know, though. But both these runners are ready, so I'm going to count them down for game number 5. This is going to be a must-win for Telio if he wants to keep his hopes of advancing to the Grand Championship straight away, healthy, alive, and well. All right, I have both of these runners counted down here for game number 5. So Brisulph's arena gameplay, you know, for the most part, he has outplayed Telio in the arena up to this point, but he's also had some decently good luck on the Mutoid Man fight, with the exception of pretty much game number 1. Game number 1, you know, he had that 17-second lead and ended up losing that one by a 1/5 of a second. But since then, Brisulph has just been on a rampage.
And here we go. The race has been started. Now, can Telio rise from Lazarus? Rise like Lazarus and make Brisulph reenact Maple Leafs' pain by blowing a 3-1 series lead?
You know, you talk about the Maple Leafs here, you know, it's Boston who might be blowing a second consecutive 3-1 lead, but that's another story for another time here. Tele01 finishes off the room, and once again, even Steven out of here.
It's a tie.
Yeah, it's definitely a tie here for sure. Frame to frame here. Brisulph and Telio are even going into collect power-ups. So let's see what the opening drop is going to be for both of these runners. It wouldn't surprise me if it was the same. It's a vulnerability, but rockets for Telio, so advantage Telio for the weapon quality.
Yeah, Telio's had to do a lot more dodging because the shrapnel's really aiming for the center.
Brisulph had some rockets of his own. Telio has a razor shield, now a spreader to go with it. He's got a nuke if he can time it well. Look at the timing of the nuke there for Brisulph. He's got a 75 orbless. A 75 orbless. That's like one of the fastest times I've seen a runner get going into Eat My Shrapnel without an orb. Speaking of orb, Telio's got one right here. Unfortunately, the room is a little out of control. He may have saved himself by getting that 4th shrapnel down. So now he should be in complete control. But Brisulph still without an orb.
Right, and by the way, at the beginning of that room, Telio was really getting closed in on, so it was either eat a little bit of time or lose 5 seconds in a death.
Oh, absolutely. And he made the right choice by just trying to get everything out of there. I mean, in the long run, it might save him because Brisulph still no orb as he's got a 157. That's a fabulous time into Total Carnage. Telio only 3 seconds back with a 2-minute flat and has the orb. And an orb on the feet for Brisulph. Can you believe this luck?
Yes, I can, actually.
Absolutely, I can too. I mean, that's why Burgundy and I have come up with the tandem. RNG favors the favorites and underwhelms the underdog. Just when you think Telio might be able to gain a lead on Brisulph, the game blesses Brisulph with an orb on the feet when he had a spreader, so he's going to lose no time. I mean, with good weapons here, he might have a 2-4X coming out.
Telio might have a low 2-5X because he's getting good weapons too. It's just a matter of being able to control it. There's more rockets for Telio, not too far out, and he's actually firing them off really well. What Brisulph is doing, though, he's still controlling that center, and it's going to be a 2-5.
Look at this, look at this. 252, 252 for both runners. Telio has gained 2.5 seconds of those 3 right there. So it's a half-second lead for Brisulph going into tank trouble, and neither player has a weapon. So this drop coming up here at the start of tank trouble is going to be crucial. We'll see who gets the better drop, if either.
Drop those chalupas in chat.
I want 2 rockets. I want to see absolute carnage here. Give me 2 rockets, a foot and vulnerability. So neither player getting a good drop here. So at least, hey, if you're going to drop bad on both. If you're going to drop good on both. So right now, these runners are scrambling here. They're trying to get the gunners off. Both gunners, now one gunner is off on Telio's side. One gunner still remains on Brisulph's side, and Telio has had to do a lot of dancing. There's a spreader, which will take care of the second gunner. Second gunner is taken care of on Telio's as he gets a spreader of his own. This is going to be very, very close, but I would imagine just because of Brisulph's, but these rockets will definitely give him the lead.
Yeah, as we were saying, it was going to be close. Brisulph may have had a little bit of an advantage because he had a cleaner path, but now with the rockets, that probably is going to wind up being like a 5-second advantage. It's not even that.
407, 408, it's a 1-second lead. I don't know how it happened, but Tele01 held his own in that room, despite the fact he really didn't have the greatest of drops. He must have had some great firing lanes, great movement there, keeping the kill count high, because I thought those rockets were going to get Brisulph, as you mentioned, probably a 5-second lead. It's a 1-second lead, but Telio does not get the ball buster. Let's see if Brisulph can get the ball buster here, and yes.
So, advantage. Oh, might have been Motherhead.
He might be Motherhead. It's blocked. It's blocked. 4, 3, 2, 1. Same level 5.
Oh, but he got one on the feet, so he's got to manual it, and he's actually doing a damn good job manualing it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's one of the best in the business when it comes to manualing those spreaders. He does get run over. They're on the same form, so they're still neck and neck here in game number 5. A spreader on Telly, but that's a player 2 spreader. He'll have to go manual, and with those gunners, that's going to be impossible. Meanwhile, Brisulph, he's got a spreader. No, he's got grenades.
He had a spreader, but he had enough of it.
Oh, look at this spreader. Again, going to have to be manual for Brisulph. He could definitely do it. He's got the head popped off. He's got the lead. Did a really good job with those spreaders, but he's going to change it up for the lobbers now. Talia needs a spreader, and he needs it right now as Brisulph is a full form lead into the final form. It's rockets for Talia. That is not going to cut it. Brisulph's going to need one more weapon to bring this one, and these grenades should do it right here.
And more grenades will even more do it. That's it!
Brisulph wins, and for the 4th consecutive year, Brisulph is moving on to the Grand Championship as the spreader comes too late for Telio. Gonna finish the job here with about a 6:05. Brisulph with the 550, pulls it off again, and give it up, Mr. Dyson. So Brisulph, after losing